let's take a look at this figure 24-2, and it deals with using the one-line diagram. But first I'd like to point out, remember, and figure, if you want to review it, 24-1 was also used in conjunction with the calculation procedures for the high voltage side and the low voltage side of the system. And of course it showed you how to calculate those loads, but the procedure for calculating those loads, remember, were in chapter 23 for commercial, which was pointed out at the beginning of chapter 23 for commercial calculations. Now, nothing has changed, but notice we have a 69 kVA transformer, and that's the kVA rating. And then, of course, you know, the available short circuit current amps can be calculated there, and it is done in the text. But you'd need to get the book, Stallcup's Designing Electrical System, Volume 2, to go through these calculations. And again, they would be in conjunction with Chapter 23 as well, but it's well outlined for you. But notice the voltage is still the same, 13.8 kV. And then you still have your 6 mains here. One of them is a spare. And you are supplying with a higher voltage the transformers, and you're stepping it down always. But we do step down to still medium voltage, I believe, in the feeder 5. And we calculate that. So what we're basically doing here is selecting the components, like the overcurrent protection devices, conductors, things of that nature, that would correspond with Article 490. And I said I thought that the higher voltage was feeder 5. Pardon me for saying that, is feeder 6. You can see that the components in there, the shape of them, the way they're drawn, they're for the higher voltage. It's over 1,000 volts, while the other 3 panels you see there are less than 1,000 volts, and then you have the higher voltage when you get into your feeder 2. And then, of course, in this diagram, you're reviewing 90.8A and B, 220.3, table 220.3, 490.48A and B. Those sections would need to be reviewed, But do remember now that the reason we show you this figure 24-2 is because in the text of Stallcup's Electrical Design Book, Volume 2, we're sizing all the components from the calculations that were performed in figure 24-1 and in the text that would relate to that particular one-line diagram outlined in 24-1. But now, before we conclude with this figure, I would like to read from some important review sections from Stallcup's Electrical Design Book, Volume 2, that falls right underneath this illustration. And it basically says, when you're calculating loads, see 215.22, B as in boy 1 through B3. And it's based upon the type of loads that you're calculating that are over 1,000 volts. And then the terminal ratings for systems over 1,000 volts, 110.40. The terminal ratings now for 1,000 volts or less, 110.14, C1, little a or B, depending upon the voltage. Conductor sizes, you want to go to the new Article 311. You want to review 311.60C4 through 311.60C86 in the new Article 311 for medium voltage. And remember the existing article, 328 for medium voltage is now also in this new Article 311 in case you get looking for it. Duct runs, where you're going to run underground and size ducts, single ducts, parallel ducts, whatever you may be running. You want to look at figure 311.60 C as in car 3. Now, when you deal with the shields, you ground the shields based upon whatever, how many shields you have with the cable or in the cable. You'd look at 300.40, 311.44, NF to that section, and 250.190C2. Circuit breakers, if that's the arrangement which we have here, 490.21A. Fuses, if you are using fuses to protect systems over 1,000 volts, start with 490.21B in Article 490. Isolating means where you're going to use just isolating switches. To get a complete handle on this now, you need to look at 490.22, 490.21B4 through B7 to really get a handle on it. Warning labels, 110.21B. Energized live parts, 490.35A. Visual inspections through a window sill, making visual inspections, 490.40. And switchgear that is used as service equipment, 490.47. Any switch gears, any type of panel boards, whatever or switchboards, whatever you may put in a substation and run a feeder up to a facility, 490.48A1 through 9, as well as Part B to 490.48. Now, those are some very important sections. And then, of course, if you should download this chapter, then if you'd also, there's a note listed there that you'd want to refer to 225.50, 210.19B, 215.2B, 230.200, 230.202A and B, and 230.208B, as well as 240.100 and 240.101. Now, I would review those sections where you were preparing the overcurrent protection device and the setting of the overcurrent protection device for relays, fuses, whatever it may be. And I think if you reviewed Chapter 10 to Stallcup's Electrical Design book, that deals with your systems over 1,000 volts, and along with this chapter, I think you'd find all the information that you would need if you were designing electrical systems for systems rated over 1,000 volts. I do recommend to engineers, contractors, and electricians that want to advance their knowledge to get Stallcup's Electrical Design book, volumes 1 and 2, because all the information is there for over 50 years that I've been in the business in designing, installation, contracting, maintenance, plans examiner, and chief electrical inspector. So there's a lot of information there, and it deals with a lot of existing type stuff you do, as well as more modern type installations and designs that you may have. So if you feel like these videos now have been beneficial to you, hit that subscribe button, subscribe to our channel, and keep these videos coming to you, because we've really just begun, but we're finishing up the electrical design book so that you can go through the code starting in Article 90, where the sections that are important to you, and go right through the code all the way through Chapter 9. So you can kind of do that at your own leisure if you want to do that. Also, we have hot topics where we really address hot topics and things that people are having problems with, designers ask questions about, as well as contractors and installers and maintenance people also. So keep that in mind, and this kind of concludes the design book, this chapter 24.